I don't know if the questions will ever stop as a mother, but I would like to begin to heal.
More than a quarter of all children have one of their parents living outside of their immediate household. And that means that a lot of people are dealing with child custody issues. Is it illegal to run off with your own child? Will a custody agreement hold up if someone goes into another state? What if there's no custody agreement? Today, we're dealing with not one, but two cases that deal with tough conditions around this. Two young children taken by their fathers, leaving their mothers in a constant state of worry and grief. Today, we're turning on the searchlight for both Ameera Deadrick and Carlo Ponte. Welcome back to Brain Scratch Searchlight. I'm John Lordan. Thank you so much for caring about these cases like I do. Tiara McWilliams, the woman that you saw at the start of today's episode, had been dealing with domestic violence for years. She says that her partner, Anthony Deadrick, was physically abusive. But on October 1st, 2008, her life changed, and she decided she wasn't going to put up with the violence anymore. That's the day that their daughter, Ameera Deadrick, was born. Tiara fled Houston, Texas with Ameera in February of 2009, but before they left, Anthony delivered a troubling message. He promised me that I would pay for taking his daughter from him, she said. Now, life can be very tough for a single mother, but she and Ameera always found their way, and they found safety in northern Wisconsin. As time passed, however, Tiara started to communicate with Anthony again. Some say that time can heal all wounds, and Tiara believed that that was the case. Quote, "We talked every day. I sent him pictures of her daily. He came to visit her," she explained. Then, in the summer of 2013, when Ameera was only 4 years old, Tiara agreed to let her travel to Houston, where she would stay the summer with her father, Anthony, and his girlfriend, LaShondra Spikes. Her time with her father went as planned, but when it was time for Ameera to come home, Anthony would not allow it. Tiara's many pleas to have her daughter returned home were ignored. In the spring of 2014, she traveled to Houston to get her, but it became clear that Anthony was holding all the cards. Her father was very strict about allowing me to see her. He wouldn't allow her to stay in my hotel room by herself. He wouldn't leave her with me. He just monitored the whole visit, Tiara remembered. Frustrated, she went to the police for help, and that's when a big factor came to the forefront. Tiara and Anthony had no formal custody agreement. And without one in place, law enforcement had no way to determine who Ameera was supposed to be with. Both Anthony and Tiara had custodial rights. With no help happening in Texas, Tiara had no option but to return to Wisconsin without her daughter. She tried to keep the lines of communication with Anthony open, but soon after she returned, things took another turn. Phones started getting disconnected. I couldn't reach out to anyone. No one was returning any of my phone calls or even opening my messages on Messenger, Tiara lamented. Dates differ somewhat as to when exactly Ameera was considered officially missing, but we do know that all conversations between the couple ended completely in 2016. That summer, Tiara notified police of her current situation, and she filed court papers to start the custody process. She also prepared to move back to Houston. But how was she going to find her little girl in a city with over 2 million people living in it? Houston is the most populous city in Texas. Tiara soon learned that Ameera couldn't have been with Anthony because he was in jail on unrelated charges. Tiara asked around but couldn't figure out where Ameera was. She couldn't find any records of Ameera being enrolled in school or even seeing any doctor. When Anthony was questioned about Ameera in prison, he told investigators that he had met a woman named Linda, who was also known as Tootie, and he met her in Waco at a convenience store. He says that he left Ameera with the woman, with the intent of picking Ameera back up after he was out of prison. He provided more details about Linda, or Tootie, to the investigators, including where she lived and what she did for work. But was this woman even real? When investigators went to the Bordeaux apartments in Waco, the supposed healthcare worker Linda wasn't there. No one by her name had lived at the address that he gave investigators, and they couldn't confirm if she even existed. If that's all true, then where is Ameera? Tiara says that Anthony spent 4 years in prison and never once asked about their daughter. She also says that he didn't try to call her or write to her. All of this has led Tiara to a troubling realization. That just leaves me to believe that my daughter is no longer living. It's believed that Ameera went missing sometime between April and November of 2016 from either Waco, Hubbard, or Houston, Texas. She would have been 8 years old at that time. Anthony was given a lie detector test, but we can't find the results of that test. One of the homes that Anthony resided in previously, though, in Hubbard, Texas, was searched with cadaver dogs, but no signs of Ameera were found. NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, has helped tremendously with Ameera's case. May 25th is National Missing Persons Day, and back in 2022, NCMEC partnered with the Texas Center for the Missing, Houston's Amber Alert provider, and Clear Channel Outdoor to bring a month-long digital out-of-home, or DOOH, campaign that was aimed at helping to generate leads on 4 different missing children's cases. Ameera's was one of those featured. When her billboard was launched that day, representatives from all of the organizations, as well as law enforcement and Ameera's family, were in attendance. Her photo was shown throughout the Houston region over 1,200 times per day on each unit for an entire month. These billboards have seen some success. One teenager named Thalia Messias was featured on them previously. She saw it and she called home and reunited with her family. We're just hoping that maybe the next tip received from those billboards will be for Ameera. On October 1st, 2022, on what would have been Ameera's 14th birthday, NCMEC released age-progressed photos. Today, Tiara still looks for her daughter. "I'm struggling every single day with grief," she said. "I just want peace. Someone knows something." The Texas Attorney General's office has now also become involved in Ameera's case. Perhaps their help is what's needed to help find this young woman. Anthony is now out of prison. He and his girlfriend actually live in close proximity to Tiara. She's spoken to him on several occasions, and in each, he gives varying excuses, some of them about being in a halfway house and needing to get out of there before he goes to pick up Ameera. And he's still sticking with his original story about a woman named Tootie. Tiara isn't really buying any of it, though.
God has given me peace. I had to get sober to get it, but he's given me peace. And I know my daughter's with him.
Ameera Deadrick is an African-American female who stood at about 4 foot 3 inches tall and weighed around 50 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She has black hair and brown eyes and was last seen in the Houston, Waco, or Hubbard, Texas areas back in 2016. Please share with friends in the area to help us re-raise awareness to this case. And if you have any information, call the Houston Police at 713-884-3131. You can also call the Waco Police Department at 254-750-7500. You can also contact NCMEC at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. I also just want to take a moment to thank NCMEC for all the hard work that they do on these cases. We've been donating to them for years, and you can do the same by visiting missingkids.org. Another case on our radar today is a young man named Carlo Ponte, who would go missing from Marysville, Washington. Marysville is 35 miles north of Seattle with a population of over 70,000 people. As of 2015, Marysville was the fastest growing city in Washington state, and it has a total area of just over 20 square miles. Carlo Ponte was considered a miracle baby to his mother. Born prematurely in 2018, his mother Rebecca gave birth when he was only 23 weeks old. He would spend 5 months in the hospital before he could even be brought home. Unfortunately, as he grew older, she came to realize that he had developmental disabilities and he was nonverbal. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tell us that these conditions begin during the developmental period and they may impact day-to-day functioning, and they usually last throughout a person's lifetime. Carlo's family worked hard to help him each day and make every day as special as possible. In September of 2021, he was scheduled to have surgery that would help to alleviate some of his issues. However, his family was going through other challenges that year. His mother, Rebecca, and his father, Jorge, were in the middle of a divorce. In April of 2021, Jorge was allowed visitation of Carlo each Wednesday and Saturday, but due to the fact that he was homeless, a court-appointed guardian would follow him during his visitation to ensure Carlo's safety. July 10th, 2021 was one of Jorge's visitation days. He was scheduled to pick 3-year-old Carlo up at the Marysville police station at 9:30 a.m., with his visit lasting from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Rebecca ran a little late that morning and she showed up at 10 a.m. instead. The court-appointed guardian reported that Jorge acted impatient as he fastened Carlo into the car seat, saying to Rebecca, "This is my time with Carlo." The guardian stated that they would follow him wherever he wanted to take Carlo that day, and before Rebecca could even say goodbye to her son, Jorge pulled away without saying a word. First, he took Carlo to a Burger King nearby and they went through the drive-thru. From there, he drove to a gas station where he got out of his car and he approached the guardian's vehicle. Through the window, he told the guardian, "You're not keeping up with me." At this point, the guardian reported that they felt as though Jorge was playing games with them, and they chose not to follow him when he pulled out and headed north on the freeway. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, wait, they're supposed to be a guardian, they're supposed to be following this visitation. I understand that, but they're also not law enforcement, and we don't know enough detail about what happened here. There's a very good chance that they might have notified law enforcement as soon as he pulled away from them, and we just don't know about it. What we do know is about 30 minutes after Jorge took off, the guardian got a phone call, and it was Jorge saying that he wasn't going to return Carlo. Neither of them have been seen or heard from since then. Within days, a county superior court commissioner granted Rebecca an immediate restraining order which authorized officers to return her son to her and ordered that Jorge undergo a psychological evaluation. Rebecca also filed a civil case. However, no one knew where Jorge or Carlo were. On July 18th of 2021, a sighting of the father and son was reported from Mattawa, about 180 miles from Marysville. However, the sighting was unconfirmed and neither of them were located. Rebecca misses her son terribly, but works every day to try to spread awareness of this case and bring him home. She hangs missing posters in both English and Spanish from Marysville down through Tacoma, hoping someone, somewhere, will report something.
Finally, did their investigation and realized he is in danger. He is, he's out there and he's on the run. He has no money. He's just, I don't know what he's doing. It's absolutely terrifying. I can't think. I can't function. All I can do is put out flyers and just try to help, just put the word out.
Carlo was supposed to start school at an early learning center in Marysville just a few months after he was taken. That date, as well as his scheduled surgery, have now been missed. And still, she has heard nothing from Jorge. Jorge Ponte was driving a white 2011 Volkswagen Jetta with license plate ACS 6089. He's also known to have driven a blue 2005 Dodge Caravan with license plate BBC 4721. He is homeless and is known to frequent YMCAs, community centers, homeless shelters, and soccer facilities. Jorge is also familiar with most of Western Washington and has lived previously in Wenatchee. He could be using the alias Leonel Solerano Valdovinos for Carlo. A reward is being offered for information that will lead to Jorge's arrest. Carlo was only 3 when he went missing. He stood at about 3 foot 6 inches tall and weighed around 37 pounds at that time. He has brown eyes and brown to black hair. He is developmentally delayed and nonverbal. Jorge was 51 at the time that he disappeared with Carlo. He stands at about 5 foot 7 inches tall and weighs around 190 pounds. He has brown eyes and black hair. A $100,000 criminal arrest warrant for first-degree custodial interference has been issued for Jorge Ponte. Please share this video with friends and acquaintances in both Texas and Washington to help us raise awareness to both of these cases. And if you have any information on the disappearance of Carlo Ponte or his father Jorge Ponte, please contact the Marysville Police Department at 360-363-8350. Since 2015, we have always run limited commercial ads for the benefit of the viewers and the families that we're trying to help. Obviously, we can't do that without support. A big thank you to PayPal supporters Amanda Beard and Jennifer Wilson. If you'd like to help, please visit LordanArts.com. There you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, buy merchandise, or even just buy us a coffee, like Candy Bishop recently did. We really appreciate your support on our mission to run as few ads as possible and help as many cases as we can. Thank you, Fox 26 Houston, KHOU.com, The Houston Chronicle, Fox 44 News, PRNewsWire.com, HeraldNet.com, ComoNews.com, Fox 13 Seattle, CDC, MissingKids.org, The Charlie Project, NamUs, Wikipedia, and JustGreatLawyers.com. Thank you to everyone that is rallying around both of these families, specifically both of these mothers. And let's keep those eyes, ears, and hearts open and looking for Ameera Deadrick and Carlo Ponte. I'll see you again here soon on the LordanArts channel.